Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are going to be talking about fall prevention, the balance, the posture, and the strength required. We have Dr. Blake here with us today. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to text Dr. Blake at 647 400 0523. I wanted to highlight some of our upcoming webinars that we have going on. So we're going to be talking with Jessica Dawson, and she's going to be talking about her journey in regards to gluten-free and plant-free eating, and her healing journey through that. And then we're going to get into the technical side with Dr. Danny, who's going to be talking about the medical side of the intolerances of foods that we actually consume. We're going to be kicking off our winter defense with Dr. Justine and Dr. Danny, and we're going to be talking about how to strengthen our bodies naturally. And we are going to also be talking about sugar and the bittersweet side of sugar. So those hidden sugars and how we can make healthier choices and easy lifestyle strategies. So I wanted to welcome Dr. Blake with us today, and he is one of our primary chiropractors here at Justine Blaney Wellness Center, very passionate individual, and I hope that he has an amazing insight into balance and fall prevention for us today. Please help welcome Dr. Blake.
Thank you, Angela. So as we look at balance and fall prevention, we want to really get back to what is health and how do we attain health. A lot of us, in a sense, at some point in our life, will find that we're in that comfort zone, right in the middle of the line on the screen. And what we need to do is take active, focused plan and create motion to create wellness for ourselves. If we just stay stagnant, our body tends to drift to the left and we end up in a state of poor health, moving towards illness. And so we're looking to create an active life and maintain an active life so that we can enjoy it throughout our life and have all of the wonderful things as we age that bring our families together. So over the 5 million years it took for us to go from primates to standing integrated beings, in the last few decades, we're posturally heading back in the direction of the primates. So when we look at what our body is telling us and how it talks to us, the symptoms that our body shares with us, they're really like a fire alarm, and there's something that we need to pay attention to. Most people try to avoid symptoms and run away from them. Sometimes we even like to cover them up, but we need to take stock and raise our awareness units and make sure that we understand what's going on with our body so that we can move towards health. With with aging, as we age, falls are more common in elderly patients, and as we age, after middle age, after the age of about 45, 3% of our muscle strength is lost every year unless we focus on maintaining it. So sedentary lifestyle contributes to it, a poor diet. If we have underlying health concerns or severe stress, that can cause our muscles to lose their strength each year. And so not only do our muscles lose strength, but also our brain ages. And so the combination of a brain decreasing its vitality and decreasing muscle strength leads to lack of coordination, loss of motor function, and increased susceptibility to falls. So, from the statistical aspect, after the age of 65, 1 out of every 3 people will have a fall each year. And as we move towards 80, it's averaged that each person would fall each year. So maybe one person would fall, 2 or 3 times, but overall, we have to be aware that as we move from our, mid 60s into our 80s, we need to take precautions ahead of time so that we set a stage to stay stable and balanced. 20 to 30% of seniors are expected to have one or more falls each year. And um, they say that falls are the cause of 95% of all hip fractures, but actually, sometimes what will happen is the hip will fracture and that will cause the fall. And that happened to my neighbor, Mrs. Lalonde, who was out in her garden. Um, Unbeknownst to her, she was very active, always in the garden. As a teenager growing up, she would always stop and talk to you. Just a wonderful lady. And as she got into her mid 80s and still an avid and active gardener, had osteoporosis unknown, and her hip had fractured, and then she had fallen. So keys to prevent falls, um, things like installing handrails, improving your lighting, making sure you don't have small mats that are easy to trip over. Um, as we head into the winter season, making sure that there's salt on sidewalks and common walkways, and not only just for yourself but for your neighbors. One of my patients, Shirley, was walking um, on a city sidewalk, but in front of her neighbor's place, and the black ice had a fall last winter. And so, these are the kinds of things we need to think about in terms of preventing falls. Now, in an internal component, ways to help yourself is to move your body to increase your strength. You also want to be aware of your medicines and have a conversation with your pharmacist to make sure that there aren't medications that will interact with one another that may affect your cognition and your overall mental state, your alert levels, so that you can be as healthy as possible. And as we talked about earlier, removing hazards and making sure you see your optometrist, checking your eyesight, and having safe footwear. Now, if you do happen to fall, you want to make sure you try and land on the thicker areas of our body that have more cushion and more protection. So for me, that would be landing on my buttocks. Um, but as well, if I fall, I want to make sure that I'm okay. I don't want to rush to get up. Now, I know a fall can be embarrassing, and you wonder, did anybody see me? Right? It reminds me of a story from my high school teacher. Um, he was walking to school one day and had tripped on the sidewalk, and he was recalling the story with us in class, and he said the first thing that went through his mind was, man, I hope nobody saw me, right? And then the second thing he said was, man, I wish someone had seen that fall, because it was spectacular. His feet were up in the air, he described, and at the same time he was shaken up. But it's important that you settle down, you make sure you're okay, and then you take your time to get up. And also, as you move forward, don't let that fall uh, decrease your activity level, or hold you back from doing things that are important for your overall health and well-being. Now, an important part of our overall health and well-being is that we eat well, and that comes down to making sure that we have healthy fats, because through the 80s, 90s, and even the 2000s, um, fat was always thought to be such a bad thing. But fat is essential for our health and well-being. It builds our cells, it helps us absorb vitamins, it cushions our organs. It's an integral part of our central nervous system for our brain. It helps to lower inflammation, so we want to make sure that we have healthy fats in our diet. And so things that are good fats or healthy fats are ones that are not altered by man. So you could look at things like extra virgin olive oil, avocados and avocado oil, coconut oil, raw nuts, real butter, um, cheese, grass-fed meats, whole milks. Those things have healthy fats. Fish is amazing, whether it be Pacific or Atlantic, but wild salmon, small fish, sardines, those things are amazing for us. And as we look at our overall diet, we want to have a pyramid approach that looks at healthy vegetables, um, organically raised, if we can, meat, having those avocado, coconut oils, nuts, and seeds, and really trying to eliminate sugars. So, one of the principles that we use in the office for nutrition is following what's called the core plan. So, there's a core plan and an advanced plan. The advanced plan's for someone with more severe disease, and that's talked about in other presentations. But the core plan, I'll just briefly overview it now. We want to look at good, healthy fats. We want to have clean, organic proteins, and we want to decrease the refined sugars. And so, sources of vitamin D that help our overall health and our well being are things like sunlight and fish, butter and cheese, milk, whole grains. Those are important things, and vitamin D is paramount for a healthy um, constitution. Now, as chiropractors, we focus on posture and we want to make sure that we have the opportunity to give people the best alignment of their spine and their nervous system. So it's important that the spine is in proper alignment and moving well so that the nerve system can communicate with every cell, tissue, and organ in our body. Now, most patients come in when we look at x rays have lost the cervical curve. A normal cervical curve would be C shaped. And so with the letter C, the weight of the head acts on the spine, and the spine in the shape of a letter C can act like a spring and absorb that weight. But most people have lost that curve, and it affects the function of the spine, but also the nervous system. The spinal cord is stretched anywhere from 5 to 7 centimeters, which is over 2 inches, putting stress and pressure on the nerve system. So, a misalignment in the spine is called a subluxation, and that misalignment can cause interference to the nerve system. When that interference is there, when it's present, it creates a defense mechanism in the body and it causes muscles to contract, and that gives us what we call a short leg. And as chiropractors, we analyze the spine and understand how it's affecting the nervous system so that we can take that state of stress out of the spine and nerve system so your body can be healthy or live. So when we look at x-rays, when we see a patient come into the office, over 95% of the patients have lost the cervical curve. So when you're looking at the before image, you can see that the spine looks straight. And the desirable is the red line on that before image. And with proper chiropractic care, exercises, and curve correction, we can have the spine go back to its more natural, appropriate position. And so that's one of the goals of chiropractic care is to take stress off the nerve system, stress off the spine, allow your body to function better. And so the effects of subluxation over time cause the spine to wear out. And as the spine wears out, it again affects the integrity of the spinal cord. And so when we look at this image on the lower left, you can see what a normal curve in the cervical spine allows the spinal cord to be plump. But as we stretch the spinal cord by losing the curve, the integrity of the spinal cord, it diminishes as it narrows. And so we want to have the proper curve correction there. So when Vicky started care, she didn't really have a lot of symptoms. As we started to move the spine, she did experience some symptoms, but with care, her symptoms settled down and her body was able to function better and her overall health improved. And so, what we recommend for people who are interested in taking care of their overall health and well being is to have a maximized living exam where we look at the function of your nerve system, the position of your spine, and we determine how we can enhance your overall health and well being. The other thing that happens for patients with trying to prevent falls is increasing our overall exercise helps to increase muscle strength. And so most patients, when I talk to them about exercise, they've tried it. It doesn't necessarily be, it's not something that they're into, or it's something that they absolutely love and they do all the time. And so we want to really work on trying to develop healthy habits. Now, patients will come up with excuses like it hurts, or I don't have time, or I can't afford a gym membership. But you don't necessarily need equipment. You can do it with your own body weight. You can do it in just as little as 12 minutes a day. It really does help reduce pain and arthritis. It's part of that adage, if you don't move it, you lose it. So you have to stay loose and stay functioning. You have to keep moving. And I love this cartoon. What fits into your busy schedule? Exercising 30 minutes a day or being dead 24 hours a day? So, for balance, especially for patients who are elderly and maybe don't feel fit and don't feel stable, you want to start slow. So, you can start with something by just sitting in a chair and standing up. And if you do 5 repetitions of that twice a day, you're going to develop hip strength, you're going to develop glute strength, you're going to develop leg strength. And so, you just do that once a day, sit down, stand up 5 times in a row, and work from there. Another great exercise to work on is marching in place. And so just bringing one knee up and then the other, having the chair there for support and stability. Again, this is a great way to start slow. And then, laying, this person, it looks like they're standing, but really they're laying on their back. And so you'd want to reach all the way back with your arm and have your leg come up. And so the left arm touches the right knee, the right arm touches the left knee, and working on the patterning for our neurology of this cross crawl exercise. And so through the COVID pandemic, we've done over 50 videos. And so you have access to that through this YouTube channel. And so we encourage you to go and look through some of the different videos, see how they motivate you to move and to exercise. Another great option, and this is one that my parents use out in Saskatchewan, is called Grow Young Fitness. And so if you go onto that website, Grow Young Fitness, it's a company out of, I believe, Minnesota, and you can subscribe, and there is a fee, but it is important because it's worth it to invest in your own health. And it sends you 3 to 4 exercises to do at your level. They identify your level, you identify with them your level, and that way you can get these exercises and you can do them at home. They come in through the computer. If you have a smart TV, they can come in through your smart TV. But it's an excellent program. It's something that's kept my parents moving and it's enhanced their health. So I would strongly recommend checking that out. Now, exercise isn't just important for strength, it also helps our overall well being. They found that exercise trumps depression better than medication if you're just doing something as simple as walking for 30 minutes each day. Now, sitting and sedentary lifestyle is really what they consider the next smoking. It shows that it has an increased risk of 32% for obesity. By standing up, you decrease your risk or likelihood of obesity by 59%. So we have to keep moving. If we have a desk and chair job, we need to set our timers on our watches and get up every half hour and move. You can't really just even with proper nutrition get yourself to a healthy lifestyle if you're stuck at a desk or stuck in a sitting job. If you're driving a truck, those things, we have to get up and move. And so, if you have, like I said, that sitting job, it increases your risk of diabetes, it increases your risk of cardiovascular disease, it increases your risk of death by 50%. So, you have to be moving. And so, one of the things you can do is invest in a standing desk. Again, set a timer on your watch, make sure you're going for your washroom breaks. Once we get back into the offices, walk to the photocopier. When you're at a grocery store or at the office or even at home, what I've talked to patients about it, when you would drive to work, you'd park your car, you'd walk in. That's about 300 yards typically or further. Like before you start your workday, just put your shoes on, walk outside around the block, come back in and start your workday. you got to develop these patterns because we need to move to stay healthy. You could try sitting on a balance ball and do daily stretches as well. And so by keeping track of how much you're sitting each day, it raises your awareness units, but also keep track of your activity. The technology is amazing with things like Fitbit or Apple Watch or Garmin. Like there's so many different options to have technology help you track your activity and let you know how well you're doing. Also mindset, so our overall health and well-being and our desire to get stronger comes down to different things that we can do with our mindset. So things like yoga, just going out for a calm walk, swimming, Pilates, setting up time to be social, either through technology with things like Zoom calls and FaceTime, or meeting friends, in the way that we have to with COVID in a socially distanced way, but we still want to connect with people. Um, Going through the process of setting up your morning so that you enter into your day called the hour of power. And I believe Dr. Justine's done a video on how to start your day and going through that process. It's amazing. But journaling, meditation, just setting time aside for yourself. Last week I was away on holidays and I was able to get into nature. And the process of unwinding while I was in nature uh, did so much for my emotional well-being. It's fantastic. Now, you want to try and figure out what kind of things are holding you back, right? And so some patients will talk, well, it's a family thing. In my family, my parents don't exercise, so I just have never really been into exercise. Or you look at things at the grocery store, and I can't afford to eat well. But you have to decide, well, what am I going to invest my time and my resources into to help myself become healthy? The best way to really do that is to journal it. Now, this is one of my favorite quotes. I first read it when I was in high school, and I have never been able to prove this wrong. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And so you want to have that mindset that allows you to be successful, to move forward and to push through so that you can be the best you possible. Again, when we look at being successful, knowing the right things, doing the right things, but also having the right people around you to keep you accountable, that's the best way to give yourself the opportunity to be successful. And we're just coming into a close here, but I want to recap that if we want to avoid falls, trips, balances, we have to do the things that are commonly well understood in terms of making sure our area is safe. But we really need to start from the inside out. We need to work at strengthening our body, developing strength that will last a lifetime, and have a continual habit that allows for us to build strength and to be successful. You can find us online. We have, as I mentioned, these videos on YouTube. You can get free downloads from Facebook. You can join our email broadcast. It's sent out twice a week. And as well, if you want to contact our office for a meet and greet, that's fantastic as well. I want to thank you for attending and wishing you the best as we head into the autumn season and into the winter. All the best. Thanks.